Mexico versus Japan in Oakland. I was excited for this one because it's a tough opponent, and this Japanese squad that's been building towards the World Cup has already qualified for the World Cup and has some really good players, as we saw today. But ultimately, man, this result ends in a 0-0 result. No goals for either side, with half chances, you could say, for both teams at the end of the day.
Yeah, man, it's truly not a lot of true goal-scoring opportunities here. Suzuki had to make one big save. Malagon had to make one, maybe two big saves himself. And that was pretty much it for the entire 90 minutes. Japan had a lot of the ball. Their ball movement was mesmerizing at times. But once it got to that final third, that Mexican defense showed up and they couldn't generate any sort of clean-cut opportunity. And for Mexico, what really frustrated me was the front three, specifically Alvarado and Vega, just could not get going in this match. The result ends up being a stalemate.
That's the most frustrating part for sure. I think is the winger play from the players that start in that position. But I like this result. I like it. I feel good leaving this match as a Mexico fan. I've said it every single time we talk about Mexico. It's never going to be pretty when it comes to getting results. It's never going to be pretty, flashy football that you're going to see from this Mexican side. Instead, you see a team that is very defensive-minded and thinks defense first when going into a game. I think today showed it because, yes, we couldn't find that goal at the end of the day, but we kept it close. We kept it tight. Japan could not break us despite their great individual brilliance that we saw. And Mexico did have a couple half chances. One off of a set piece, off the lead-out header that could have, on a different day, gone into the back of the net. And then that miscommunication with Berterame and whoever that player was behind him, that could have ended up in a really positive opportunity there for Mexico. But that's kind of how I see us playing against teams that are in the top 15 rankings of the world, is a game like this where we don't outpossess them, we don't outplay them on the pitch, but honestly, we just play good defense. We wait for the chance of having maybe one or two chances to break the deadlock, and that's ultimately how we get our results here. If this was a World Cup game and we tied Japan, I'd be happy.
No, absolutely. I'm with you. I think this is a good result. The game itself went exactly how I thought it would. I just wish we got more from the wing play. That's pretty much it. But you're right. It's not necessarily what Aguirre is going to hope for. He kind of knows what he has out on those wings, and he's going to rely on the defense, which definitely showed up today. And Montes even going the extra mile and making sure that Mexico didn't lose this game. It's a great play. Gets a red card, but he saves the result. It ends 0-0. I think for me, a big standout, though, on a positive note, is Marcel Ruiz. I'm fully convinced now.
It's his spot now.
There's no more debate. There's no more concerns when it comes to who's going to be that midfielder alongside Edson, who unfortunately got injured today. But for me, it's Marcel Ruiz. He played great. If anything, he could have been inserted into that Japanese midfield and played just as fluidly.
I think so, man, because you were seeing how the Japanese would turn on the ball. It was incredible, bro. They would receive it in the middle of the pitch, and I feel like they had 3 or 4 different players that had the ability to just receive it under pressure and turn. But Mexico responded with Marcel Ruiz, who I think under pressure was phenomenal today. And I had highlighted that as an important narrative going into this international break for Mexico, was Marcel Ruiz solidifying that spot.
It's a good performance from Mexico. Nothing really to criticize here. They ultimately shut out basically Asia's best team.
That's true. That's true. And when you look at Japan, I think this game does prove, though, that they struggle against a low block. They struggle against a team that's solidified in defense. We've seen it in games against Australia in that region. Japan's a team that I think in AFC qualification over 10 games scored 32 goals, man. One of the highest scoring teams in all of Asia. But when it comes to teams of this caliber, even a Mexico side that doesn't have much offense but is really strong on their defense, Japan struggles. They cannot break that type of defense. What's going to happen if they get faced off against a Germany, a France, a Portugal, or even just a team like Ecuador, for example? I don't know if I see Japan anymore being able to take over those type of teams, whereas I was a little bit higher on them in the past.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I'm not high on Japan going into this World Cup. They have great players individually, and they play good as a team. They can compete against pretty much any team out there, but their chance conversion, it's super low when they play against a defensive team. And we saw it today against Mexico. We've seen it throughout World Cup qualifying against Saudi Arabia and Australia. This is a pattern for Japan, and it's gone back all the way since the AFC Asian Cup. They struggle. They really do. They have a lot of good playmakers, but no finishers. And it showed today for sure.
Who's the man of the match of this game? Player that stood out?
For me, seriously, Marcelo Ruiz on the Mexican side. And since it was a tie, maybe we could put in a Japanese player there. I don't know, maybe Endo. Endo, I thought was really, really good. Minamino was very active, but offensively couldn't convert anything. He had a hell of a volley that almost went in, but he ended up skying it. But I'll go Ruiz just because I was really looking for him to see if he could dominate, at least just from his play style. And I thought he did. He was really good in breaking pressure when he did get those chances on the ball.
After seeing South Korea defeat the USA today, what are the thoughts for Mexico going into their next friendly against South Korea?
I'm expecting a result against South Korea. I really am. I see the Koreans as having a weak defense, but a very elite offense. I'll be looking for that to see how Mexico's defense does against a better offense, in my opinion. But I want to see Mexico get the goals, especially against a weaker defense. I expect it. So a good 0-0 here today. Now I want Mexico to go on and win.
Yeah, in the prediction video, I'd say that we would win one and tie one. We just got the tie here. 1-0 victory against South Korea. That's what I'm predicting.
When it comes to the two best teams in Asia, I do think it's Japan and South Korea. Who are you more afraid to play against? Because I think you could say Japan probably are the better team, but looking at today's games, USA playing South Korea and Mexico playing Japan, and just looking at the more recent World Cup qualifying games, I think I'd actually be more scared to play against South Korea just because of their X-Factor players.
I think South Korea is a more realized team. I think they're closer to their potential than what Japan is. But I think Japan has a higher potential, and if they unlock it, would be a more scary team. So I'll go Japan on this one because I think if they can figure out their troubles in the final third against higher level defenses, then that's the only part they have to figure out. Their defense is pretty good. Midfield is really, really good. Build up play. Everything else looks really solid. They figure that out. They're a complete team, I think. And so I'm going to go with them because I'm hoping that they can do that once the World Cup comes. But as of right now, like today, it would be South Korea. It would be South Korea. Folks, let us know. What did you think about today's 0-0 result between Mexico and Japan? Give me your predictions for the South Korea game coming up and comment down below your man of the match for today.